Plato versus Descartes. Throughout the history of philosophy, there are many different beliefs and concepts for practically every question one can imagine, and many times philosophers would have conflicting or alike viewpoints of such ideas. Within philosophy lies a concept of epistemology, which is essentially the study of knowledge and justified belief. The two highly regarded philosophers that delved into this concept were Plato and Descartes, and they both had similar and different ideas concerning epistemology. The ideas they had conflicting views on were their beliefs of certainty and the foundations of knowledge. However, they had similar views for ideas such as innate ideas and trusting a priori reasoning. Certainty. Both Plato and Descartes have believed that true knowledge must be certain and all other ideas false, but they have different ways of looking through this lens. Plato's theory of forms essentially states that there are two distinct levels of reality that exist, the visible and the intelligible world. The visible world is the sights and sounds that are around us, and the intelligible world is the world of forms that stands above the visible world and gives it meaning. For example, when we see a painting that's considered beautiful, it's because we have a conception of beauty itself, and we're able to identify it only by that conception of beauty. The form of beauty is eternal and unchanging, meanwhile things in the visible world age and lose their beauty. The intelligible world is a world of forms that is separate from time and space and is unchanging. However, Plato believed that although we perceive the imperfect instances of everything, we have genuine knowledge of truth, goodness, and beauty. This is considered a Platonic form where abstract entities exist independently of the sensible world. Ordinary objects are imperfect and changeable, but they copy the perfect and immutable forms. Thus, all of the information we acquire about sensible objects is temporary, insignificant, and unreliable, while genius knowledge of the forms themselves, such as knowing that 100 minus 45 equals 55, are perfectly certain forever. Descartes viewed certainty differently, as he explains within his meditations, specifically Meditation 1. Simply put, Descartes has found himself to be mistaken in regards to the matters that he formerly thought were certain, and his solution was to erase all of his preconceptions and rebuild his knowledge, accepting only claims that were certain. He then rejects everything he experiences, including himself as being certain or real, which leads him to his startling discovery of cogito ergo sum. This phrase translates to "I think, therefore I am," and means that Descartes must exist since he's questioning his existence. Descartes cannot possibly deny his existence if he does not exist, so this becomes one of his first pieces of foundation in which he builds his new certain knowledge of. He then wonders what else he may be able to know by means of this message, but in order to be certain that his clear perceptions are indoubtable, he must assure himself that God exists and he is not deceiving him. This then leads him to believe that the idea of God in his mind cannot be created by him, since he is far more perfect than he is, and only a being as perfect as God could cause an idea so perfect. Therefore, Descartes concludes, God does exist, and because he's so perfect, he could not deceive the mediator about anything. Now that Descartes is secure in the knowledge that his perceptions are guaranteed by God, he investigates material things such as the primary qualities of a body, being size, shape, etc. He also decides that while he can clearly and distinctly perceive the primary qualities of material things, he has only a confused perception of the secondary qualities. This is because his senses are meant to help him get around in the world, but not lead him to the truth. Both philosophers have different views upon the certainty of things and are highlights in the concept of epistemology. Plato believes that everything around us is an imperfect copy of a perfect thing, and how we can only identify something through its conceptions rather than what we perceive physically. This is also how true knowledge is thought to be according to Plato. The forms themselves are certain forever, while the perceived projections are not. Descartes believes that he cannot be perceived about the fact that he exists, and he seems to perceive objects with certain characteristics. This was mainly focused on the idea that God had to exist in order for him to truly perceive things that are certain, while Plato did not discuss the idea of God within his beliefs on the theory of forms. Foundations of knowledge. Plato and Descartes had different views when it came to the idea of foundations regarding knowledge. Plato believed that knowledge can be derived from a single set of principles and that knowledge rests upon good as its foundation. Within the allegory of the cave, Plato compared the power of good to the sun, how the sun illuminates things and makes them visible to the eye, just as good illuminates things in the mind and makes them intelligible and understandable. The good is considered the cause of essences, structures, forms, and knowledge, and there are 4 levels to Plato's argument regarding knowledge. The first level is there are 2 ruling powers.
Created using Powtoon.